in a deep and dark December.
The first guy really to get things rolling was Jack Simpson.
Dad first started the program in the early 60s. We used to have a rope tow back behind what's now the Ketchum Cemetery.
When we were at Penny Mountain, we had to boot pack it, then ski pack it. If there was a line, then you were just told to hike up. Oh, some of the earliest memories are, number one, riding single chairs on Baldy, which was super fun.
In those early years, I remember Jim Severia.
Pat's dad was one of the toughest, yet fairest men I've ever met. And so you didn't question anything that was going on, you didn't dare whine, you just dug in and did it.
1968, I was 8 years old, and I remember my dad making me, in the living room, put on my skis and put the long thongs on, and I had to do it in under a minute in order to be able to be on the team so he wouldn't have to wait for me.
The Sun Valley Ski Education Foundation was the first 501c3 status ski education foundation in the country. So without Jack and Jim and Pete Lane, probably the Sun Valley Ski Education would just be another ski team.
Came up here to ski one winter to Sun Valley, and this was early 1970s, so it was a pretty cool spot.
And the vibe was really good. It was back in the early 60s, 70s, and ski racing and hot dogging were awesome.
Grooming then was just you went out and skied a trail in. There was no grooming. We had no machinery. It was really funny, and knickers and old sweaters, and it was a completely different game. We were skiing on wood skis to begin with.
I also remember they used to have screw-on edges.
And our races, most of the time here anyway, were on Roundhouse.
My experience was with Jim Severia and Lane Monroe and Michel Rudigos.
Came from France, and it was really hard to understand what he was telling us when he was coaching us, but got along great. His enthusiasm sparked us all.
Some of the coaches that really played a big role for me were Nick Lewis and Lane Monroe. For me, as far as moving on and becoming national level and Olympic level.
Lane Monroe was the most amazing person at the start of a race that I've ever met. It could be just pouring rain and nasty and cold, and he would somehow make you feel like you're on top of the world and you're ready to conquer and beat everybody around you.
A great coach, but more than anything, he just made you want to be there. Even if you had a bad run, he'd send you away feeling good about it.
The 76 Olympics were on, and that's when Franz Klammer had his famous run where he won and he was radical and sort of out of control. Anyway, I remember watching him and going, wow, that'd be cool to go to the Olympics. And that was the first time I ever thought of the Olympics.
The 80s were marked by sort of this afterglow from the 70s, and all those boys that really sort of brought skiing to the masses in a much different way than they had seen before. Certainly the success that all of those Olympians had was very impactful for the young kids growing up, knowing that you could be the best in the world, and then you'd fit in Sun Valley. Yeah. I remember the old green shack, actually, where the Greyhawk Training Center is now. It was the first iteration.
80s, some of this is a little bit fuzzy, but definitely, I believe my second year of coaching.
Kids like Skip Merrick, Zach Chris, Reggie Chris, Peekaboo Street, all these little kids are ripping. Kent Kreitler.
A lot of talent in the Alpine program at that time, and it really helped all of us become better than we otherwise would have been.
We were overwhelmed watching all these guys ski because they were winning at every level, and we weren't sure what to talk to them about. So every chance we got, we talked to like a World Cup type person or world caliber, and all they tell us is don't screw them up. Keep skiing with them and don't screw them up, and they'll be just fine.
What we did is we needed to research. We wanted to bring in a new coach, and we'd had this information about Rick Kapala. He was coaching up in Alaska and working with the teams up there, and his credentials were impeccable. He just seemed like the right kind of guy, great sense of humor, really positive, lots of energy.
I heard about the position being available. I interviewed for it, and next thing you know, I was driving my little Toyota truck down the Alcan from Anchorage and pulled in here in August '87, and oh my God, like I'd found the jackpot. It was great. Right away I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be a good deal. We were a pretty small program at that point in time. We only had about 10 kids on comp team and a handful of kids in the development level program.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want.
We had skiers start winning races at junior nationals, and the program just kept growing.
Well, in the early 90s, snowboarding was growing huge, and there was a lot of kids on the mountain snowboarding. That's pretty quick. The ski ed came in and saw the need for it and embraced us, gave us a lot of organization. Nick Galpin was, I believe, the first snowboarder on the team. He would want to go out before they really had a spot for him on the ski team, and they didn't really know what to do with this kid that wanted to run gates on a snowboard. It was a combination. The 90s had a lot more racing. You know, we had Graham Watanabe, Nate Galpin.
91, when John Zook came to the board and presented the freestyle ski team. Traditionally, freestyle back in the 90s was mogul skiing and aerials. Some standouts back in those days were Garrett Altman, Aaron Resko, who was second at national championships.
Thinking back, I had always aspired to make the national team because I had really tangible role models from Sun Valley that made the national team, and so I more or less knew kind of what the recipe was and what I had to do to try and make the same marks.
We had 50 or 60 skiers in 1970, 71. That was huge. When I retired and turned the reins over in 1996, I think we had about 300 in the various programs. And at that time, we had started the snowboard, we started the freestyle, we had the Nordic and the Alpine. We were one of the first programs in the United States that had all 4 disciplines.
I don't know where the time went, but before you knew it, we were big and rolling.
Both Nate and Graham were on the U.S. team for border cross, which that was a direct of being great all-mountain riders and also knowing how to work an edge.
Before the 2010 games, when our athletes like Morgan Aratola and Simi Hamilton were training and prepping for the games, we'd be out roller skiing and people would be, like cheering out their windows of their car, like yelling like, go get them.
And in 2008, I took over the program from John. And at that time, I picked up a few new athletes who were interested in free skiing, not necessarily freestyle. Most notably was Ty Barrymore. And in the season of 2008-2009, Ty won his first junior national halfpipe title. And then he defended that title successfully the year after, won his second junior national title, and made the U.S. team after that.
I'm happy to say that most of those kids that are coaching now were on my program as skiers.
I'm most proud of skiers that have come back to coach for the foundation.
I've had this relationship with this organization for over 30 years now. It's who I am and what I believe, and all of that just wrapped up into this beautiful thing.
I don't know how anybody can have as much passion as Scotty McGrew does. He is the most incredible leader in the fact that he sets the example by which you run to follow him.
And cross country exploded quite a bit. And now from the everything in aerials and the jumps and the barn they have where the big foam and the kids are flipping through the air. I mean, look at Dollar Mountain, look at the sophistication of that stuff. I mean, this place has stayed on the cutting edge all the time.
We have 3 trampolines, we have a roll-in skate ramp, we have a half pipe. This has by far been the most progressive decade of all of the free skiing and freestyle programs.
Yeah, we all want to see Olympians and that kind of thing, but I personally feel like it's even more important that these kids have something fun to do. That's what our town is about.
Showing those kids the entire mountain and working on things like ski etiquette on the mountain and safety on the mountain, and most of all, just learning how to ski and have a great time.
It's remarkable because there are very few places that have what we have, and we will develop more champions.
You know, with that comes opportunities for every kid in the program.
It's about sharing passion with kids. For me, I love to ski, and I love skiing with kids, and this is so worth it.
Running down to the riptide, taken away to the dark side. I wanna be your left hand.